Hello, everyone, and we've been dropping a little bit from 69K the last few days, and some people are saying, is the drop over? Well, I do expect us to dip a little bit more tomorrow, still above 65K, obviously, because the stock market is actually down on the futures 135. The S&P's barely down, the Nasdaq's barely down, but the Dow's down 135, and stocks and crypto generally are a little bit in line with each other. Plus, the US 10-year bond is up 0.018 for some odd reason, despite the Fed cutting the rates. This basically means that people are still very uncertain about the overall economy. And because they're very uncertain, they're less likely to go into risky assets. They are still waiting for more rate cuts, and they're also waiting to see how the election goes. Regardless of who wins the election, I think we're going to go up after the election as more rate cuts come through, as I've said before. But in terms of like tomorrow, I do expect a slight dip unless the markets turn upwards. Now, where do I see a bottom for this dip? Probably around 65. I think 65 is kind of like a floor value without the Israeli counterattack. Now, if Israel counterattacks and they don't strike any like nuclear facilities or oil refineries, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll go down a little bit and then come back very, very quickly afterwards. If they should strike oil refineries or nuclear facilities, we are in for a much bigger dip as the war escalates in the Middle East. So it really depends on what they do. Like, I believe if they don't strike like an oil refinery or a nuclear facility and they just go for like an attack on like a military base and then it's over, I do actually believe that we might with this downturn right now, we might go to like 64, maybe like upper 63, and then like go back up very, very quickly. If they do strike one of the vital targets, I do think Iran will retaliate more, and then it'll just escalate more. And we don't really know what the consequences of that would actually be on the market. So hopefully they don't strike one of the two critical infrastructures. Now, they've already told the United States that they wouldn't. But Israel has not been too great at keeping their promises lately. Benjamin Netanyahu seems to have their own plans. However, they are pretty busy with bombing the heck out of Hezbollah right now and bombing the heck out of Hamas right now, killing all their leaders. So that might actually be their retaliation, part of their retaliation against Iran. And their actual counterattack against Iran is basically not going to be all that big because Iran's probably already suffering a lot looking at their proxies, which they've been trying to set up for decades, getting completely demolished by Israel within the last few weeks. And Iran, outside of that one missile attack, has not done too much. And they are afraid that Israel is going to counterstrike because militarily, they're no match for Israel. I mean, militarily, no country in the Middle East is actually a match for Israel. And plus, Iran doesn't really have too many allies in the region as no one really likes them. So that's where kind of like we stand today. I do believe that, like 65K would be like a hard bottom if it wasn't for the Israel thing. And if they don't attack until after the election, which they're expected to attack before the election, I don't think we'll go below 65. But if they attack before the election, we could go down to 64 or 63 because I do not believe they will strike one of the oil or nuclear targets because they've basically told us more or less that they're not. And the other thing is, like, Israel, and the U.S. Accidentally leaked information about when and where they're going to strike. Now, how would that important information like that leak? I don't really believe it was an actual leak. I believe they actually wanted it to leak, so Iran knows when and where they're going to strike, so they can remove all their stuff from their strike targets, so like there's less deaths and like less damage, so they will have smaller reason to retaliate because neither side really wants to escalate this. So I think this leak was not so accidental. As you've seen, they haven't really mentioned all that much about it ever since the initial release of the leak because I'm pretty sure they actually meant to leak that information. So that's where the market actually stands right now. So I don't think we're quite done going down a little bit. I expect us to go down a little bit tomorrow. And if they attack, I expect us to drop like 1,000 or 2,000 points on the attack. And then at that point, we will actually be at the bottom of the dip, still well within like the mid 60,000s range. And then we'll probably go up to 70,000 and more after the election, regardless of who actually wins the election. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.